Wait, let me see. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Seminar on behalf of Free European Digital Innovation Hubs, CROBOHub++ from Croatia, Airflow Production from Austria, and Cyber4Star from Bulgaria. My name is Jadranka Lovric, and I am the project manager of the CROBOHub from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing. Project CROBOHub is dedicated to supporting companies in their digitalization journey through three essential technologies: artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and high-performance computing. All the services we provide are free for the users, and we are proud to offer end-to-end support to the companies. This support includes education, assistance, with access to financial resources, networking, and testing services before making any investment. One of the primary reasons for this webinar is to discuss NIS2 Directive. It's EU regulation that establishes procedures and measures to achieve a high common level of cybersecurity. Croatia adopted this directive in February 2024. Companies have many questions regarding implementation of such regulation. For example, what concrete measures they should take, what is the timeline for the compliance, and there is maybe any exception to this regulation. So I look forward to the insights from my fellow speakers who will address these and many other important questions. At the end of the presentation, please feel free to ask questions or send them to us by email. And now, I would like to introduce Professor Marin Vukovic, who will provide more insights into this topic from the practical perspective. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jadranka, for the introduction. I'm Marin Vukovic. I'm a professor at Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing. I'm also part of CROBOHub project, the Croatian EDIH, so Digital Innovation Hub. So just a short overview of my topic. I hope you'll find it interesting about the incoming threats in 2030, according to several bodies that predict these kinds of threats. A little bit about strategies for mitigation of these threats, and something about, since you're the companies mostly and are probably interested in funding opportunities, so just a bit about the state in the European Union and Croatia, so what are the options for funding. So when we look at the top threats nowadays, according to ENISA, the EU's security agency, this is the top list of threats nowadays, and in let's say this year and probably the next year. So as you know from general public, the ransomware is the top threat today as well, because it brings hackers the fast way to funds. So this is something that they are typically doing because it's the easiest thing for them, right? And another thing is malware in general. Ransomware is also part of malware, so malware is also on the top list. On the second part, social engineering threats are always here, and it's something that's always attractive, because the people are unfortunately still the weakest chain in the cybersecurity link. And I was just reading some new reports. Previously, if you look at the statistics, at around 95% of attacks were done by, so the first step in the attack was a human, so by some kind of phishing or false pretensions or something like that. Nowadays, this has gone down a bit to 80%, but still the 80% of first step in attacks are humans. So social engineering is the third threat nowadays, and I definitely agree with that. Then the fourth threat, according to ENISA, is the attacks on data, or basically stealing the data leakage, or de-anonymization attacks, which are also very interesting, also in our scientific community. So this is something that can lead to lawsuits and hefty, fines for companies. and also for universities, for example, we are now doing similar protection strategies on our university. Then there are typical threats against availability of services and availability of internet. Regarding services, this is mostly oriented towards service providers, towards companies, towards web pages, web shops, and similar things. Regarding availability of the internet, this is a much more serious issue, in my opinion, because this is attacks on routers and on routing mechanisms and on internet service providers. This can lead to huge denial of service attacks. So this is also one of the threat identified by ENISA. Right? Then disinformation and misinformation is always here since everybody started talking about it from after the US elections, but now it's becoming also, not becoming, but it still remains very popular also for changing, opinions of people on local levels, on regional levels, on global levels. So this is something that needs to be handled definitely, but it's really, really difficult, I would say. And finally, the eighth threat, according to ENISA, which is something that is rather new, are so-called supply chain attacks. So this is where, for example, you're developing some kind of system and you use something that is already done, some, let's say, framework library or something existing. There have been several reports in, let's say, last 2 or 3 years that there have been attacks on this supply chain. So basically, you integrate with something that is already hacked, and this is as expected to rise in the future, and this is something that's coming in very fast on many fields. But mostly, it's basically, like I said, when you integrate with someone who has been hacked, or you use a tool that has been hacked. So when you look at most affected sectors, also according to ENISA, I'm sure you don't see it because I don't see it neither, but the vast majority, or not vast, but majority, is the public administration. So these are probably the data leaks and similar stuff that basically hackers want to steal data and information from the citizen. Digital service providers, so this is a huge field as well. These are all services on the internet. Then we have general public. These are the people. Other services, such as, for example, waterworks and gas delivery and similar stuff, finance, and all the others. So you can see, I would say that most of these attacks and on the sectors are basically focused on data, because this is public administration. This is definitely data, and general public, this is also probably data. The thing about this is because financial institutions and IT institutions tend to take care of security at least to some point, but general public and public administration still lacks this. This is the case in Croatia, and I'm sure it's the same in other EU countries. So also, according to ENISA, they estimate future threats for 2030. So they do cover some of these threats we mentioned earlier, but let me just run through them. So first threat is the supply chain compromise. So this is something that I was talking about. This is something that's coming in rather fast now. Also, disinformation campaigns that are more advanced. So this is really becoming, I'm doing this also from the scientific perspective. This is something that is really, really difficult to tackle. And it's really hard to say, is something disinformation or real information? And there are now numerous ways of, because you have AI and generative AI models that can allow you to create videos, so deep fakes. So you can basically, create statements and apply them to somebody that didn't say it. So this will be definitely a huge problem in the coming years. Digital surveillance is also, that's how it is. You always have lawful interception, which is by the law, so it's okay. It depends who is doing the surveillance, right? Then fourth is the human error and exploited legacy systems. This is, I would say, these are two topics. One is human error, because humans are prone to make errors, and this is expected. The problem is how to detect this error and stop it from creating a compromise of the system. But also legacy systems are a very big problem because they're all there. They are typically everywhere, right? So it's also a problem how to secure these legacy systems, which is typically done by some kind of monitoring CM tools and similar stuff, right? Then we have targeted attacks enhanced by smart device data. This is basically an IoT domain, Internet of Things, where more and more devices are coming online. Most of these devices are not well secured. They are typically aimed to be cheap, right, and not to put many security, because security is expensive. So we have many smart sensors, smart fridges, smart TVs, but also smaller devices like smart remotes for home and similar stuff. I know of several cases where these kind of devices have been hacked, and they were creating attacks from your home, from your IP address to other companies, and for example crypto wallets and similar stuff. So this is also a problem, because these devices need to be cheap so that the people will want to buy them, and typically this is why they don't have many security functionalities there. So this is regarding the space infrastructure. Now space is becoming very interesting for companies as well. You know about Starlink. Now we have a new initiative in Europe. It's called OneWeb. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's a very nice way of providing internet. So they're basically doing European Starlink. Advanced hybrid threats. So this is the combination of threats. And finally, we have a skill shortage, which is always a problem because there are not so many cybersecurity professionals around. And this is something that needs to be addressed definitely. You'll see it in a bit later in some also trends here. And then we have cross-border ICT service providers as a single point of failure. This means that when the systems interconnect, this is always a problem. I would say this is especially a problem in communication networks, in telecommunications. So this is something also that needs to be secured in the future. And there is also artificial intelligence abuse, similar to the generative AI I already mentioned. So, but I'll come to that a bit later. I hope I'm trying to be as fast as I can, so I'll try. So these are according to Gartner, top trends in cybersecurity for this year. So I'll just run through them. The first thing is continuous threat exposure management. So the thing is, all new systems and all existing applications tend to increase their functionality to integrate with other systems, which in security terms broadens the attack surface. So this becomes more complex to defend, right? So the idea is how to manage these integrations and how to limit the enlargement of this attack surface where the attackers can basically hack you. But this is something that I would say is inevitable. It just needs to be managed and controlled. Then this is extending identity and access management's cybersecurity value. This is more or less focused on better use of identity and access management, such as multi-factor authentication, defending against attacks on this and similar. Then we have also a problem which has been around here for long, third-party cybersecurity risk management. This means that when you integrate with somebody, nevertheless, if it is a well-known service or something, you still need to take into account that this service can be hacked. So basically, you need to always check what you are integrating with, and always check when you are using something that you integrated with, is it still secure, or has somebody hacked, let's say Google, and you're using Google, for example. And then we have another thing that's also been here for a rather long time is privacy-driven application and data decoupling. So in order to have a safe data, you need to decouple data from applications, from programs, right? So this is something that's a trend and that needs to be done and is being done, but there's still room for corrections, right? And then another thing is the generative AI you all know about. So everybody is now using generative AI, companies as well, either formally or informally, and they are typically using it to automate their processes. But in recent years, let's say, since generative AI became popular with ChatGPT and everything, not everybody, but security researchers started to try and hack these systems and try to manipulate these systems through basically command injection and false information injection. So you always need to take care, what does the generative AI give to you? Is it really secure? Since it might be injected with some malicious information, right? So this is twofold view, right? You definitely need to use generative AI, and you can use it, and you can also use it to enhance security, but you also need to be aware of possible injections and possible malicious stuff that's being delivered from generative AI because somebody hacked it. So this is something that will also be, I'm sure, very popular in the next decade or so. And then we have this part about security behavior, security so-called hygiene, and culture programs. This is more about education of general public or of your employees. This is something that needs to be done. We all think that people are already aware of security, and we are, very hopeful in that sense. But when you look at the situation in real world life, it's not so good, right? So people still need to be educated in general terms. Then another thing that needs to be, that is a trend for this year, is cybersecurity outcome-driven metrics. This means that in cybersecurity, everything is about risk analysis, and you need to decide whether you want to invest in cybersecurity or does it make sense in financial terms. This is something that is being done in order to change this view and to better measure the outcomes of breaches, for example, in order to better align the risk management and the need for investments in security. Then you also have this cybersecurity operating models. This is more of an organization matter. So this is, the role of chief information security officer, his permissions, his jurisdiction. So and the processes regarding cybersecurity in companies. So this is something also that we are now doing at our university. And finally, another trend is this reskilling, since according to Anissa before, you saw that there is not enough security professionals. So the idea here is to use existing people that are not trained in cybersecurity and then try to train them further, try to invest in them, and hopefully over time they will become cybersecurity professionals. So this is something that is being done just in order to fill the gap of cybersecurity professionals that are missing. So, and now the last slide, I hope I'm on time, regarding funding opportunities. Really, I was really surprised when I started to explore funding opportunities, to see how many of opportunities are there. So you have many smaller vouchers or packages also available through this digital innovation hubs and CROBOHub as well, just to solve some part of security in your company or in your organization. But there are also other national vouchers for security. For example, this is something that's coming in Croatia this year, and several initiatives on regional levels also, for just creating small projects, small funds, small vouchers for increasing some parts of cybersecurity, or for example for training the programmers in security, or for educating larger audiences, let's say, now from non-technical perspective, right? Then there are also efforts to develop novel and innovative cybersecurity solutions and pilot them, which might be the piloting part interested for SMEs and companies. This is typically on Horizon projects. I'm a Croatian member of DG Home of security initiative in the European Union, so civil security for society. So there are really many interesting topics for innovative projects, and I would urge you to join the consortium and apply for project, because this is a really nice way of doing some innovative things that will raise your company in future, and you can really get very nice funding and work on very innovative projects. So I think this should be the way to go on long term, let's say. Then there are also efforts to network partners in cybersecurity domain. There are many twinning, teaming, Erasmus, Interact projects. So either on local levels, on regional, or on EU levels. So this is something also good, just in order to connect the people that are doing security. And because when you look at cybersecurity, there are many different domains really here. It's not just one domain, cybersecurity. You have many aspects of that. So it's nice to work with people that are in similar but not the same fields of cybersecurity, and then together you can do great solutions, and let's say in the end applied for Horizon and then do some innovative solution. And there are also some efforts aimed at general public and just with the goal of raising awareness. So this is not technical. This is just security education and raising awareness. For example, in Croatia we have several funds that aim to just bring up the competitiveness of people and their knowledge about security in general. But this, my example, ESF is not meant for security as such, but it's meant for just educating people in general, so you can use that for security. So there are really many funding opportunities. My advice to you would be to start from this smaller let's say efforts to just bring up some part of security in your company, then definitely connect with others in order for this teaming and twinning projects to create some consortia and then apply for Horizon. So this is what we are doing, and I think this is a good strategy, in the long term. So that's it. I hope I was on time. I hope I wasn't it wasn't too much. So thank you for any questions. We can do it afterwards, or you can email me, and that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this interesting first presentation. So now we already continue with our next presentation. So also hello from my side. My name is Verena Heimschlager, and I work for the Austrian Platform Industry 4.0. And today I will represent the Austrian EDIH production and also introduce you to our next speaker. So EDIH production is a European digital innovation hub focused on the manufacturing sector. And beyond others, the topics include digital production, robotics, AI for industrial applications, digital assistance systems, and cybersecurity. In our EDI, we have 16 partners, and our main focus is Test Before Invest, where we carry out individual digitalization projects for manufacturing companies. These projects have a volume of up to 40,000 euros and are 100% funded for companies up to 3,000 employees, and that also counts for companies from other countries than Austria. So to sum it up, if you're interested in our services, just contact us at EDIH Production. And today, as our speaker, we have Stefan Jakoubi. He is head of Professional Services at SBA Research, which is also a partner of EDIH Production. And the topic of today's presentation will be the new NIS2 regulation. So please, Stefan, you can start your presentation now.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for the introduction. If I'm counting up, it's going older and older. I'm 18 years now in the field of information security. Within SBA Research, we are a scientific research center focusing on information cybersecurity. And within that, I have the professional services area where we do consulting and advisory for implementing security measures and being compliant to certifications and regulations. I'm also the CISO, so the Chief Information Security Officer, so the security responsible within SBA. I know quite exactly how to balance and trade the cost of security measures and the requirements that are set from customers and from certifications regulations. I'm talking about NIS2 today, and the talk before was a perfect introduction, because when talking about NIS2, just a short intro, what is it? It's a EU directive with the objective to raise and build cybersecurity capabilities across the whole union to mitigate the threats, as we heard before, on network and information systems, which is the abbreviation for NIS, for essential services in key sectors. NIS2 indicates there was a predecessor, and this was NIS1. And in Austria, there were only 100 companies affected in the critical infrastructure sector from NIS1. NIS2 is therefore a game changer because expected to have 5,000 to 8,000 companies directly affected, plus the supply chain. So in many cases, you are not directly affected, but you're working you have a customer that is affected from NIS2, so you have to be compliant within the supply chain. If you are in one of those sectors, the differentiation, there's important entity and essential entity, but it's rather when you're audited and if you're audited. If you're a medium-sized and large enterprise in this area, then it's highly probable that they are directly affected from NIS2. Otherwise, if you have customers in these areas, it's highly probable that they will force you to be also NIS compliant, as I said before, within the supply chain. So what the new thing on NIS2 is that management is by law held liable for cybersecurity fails, for not implementing a cybersecurity risk management and not taking appropriate security measures mitigating cyber risks. The second thing is management is directly liable to train all employees, not by itself, but that training are done on a regular basis on different levels, different focus, so that also the second line of management and others might build up the skill to identify risks and to balance also measures which have to be done within their business function. That's the second new thing. The third requirement is, and that we know already from GDPR, is that you have to take appropriate technical, operational, and organizational measures. Of course, with some proportionality, balancing the risk where do your business, what are your financial capabilities, and what could be the impact on society, of economy, customers within these sectors. These are the requirements which have to be addressed with local laws on the security measures. This ranges from policies on risk management and other measures. You have to be a structured security incident handling so they can react on potential security incidents. You have to strengthen business continuity, build the resilience with respect to backup, disaster recovery planning, crisis management. The supply chain is a very high rated security measure within the NIS2 directive, so you don't only have to address your digital ecosystem, but also the whole supply chain where you are dependent on. Everything about vulnerability management, technical vulnerability management, basic cyber hygiene training, as I said before, and many other topics in the cybersecurity field. In the current draft of the Austrian law, so the law in every member state has to be ready until 17th of October. So that's why if you fall under the NIS2 directive, you're compliant or non-compliant with the 18th of October. In Austria, there's an appendix of the NIS2 law. There will be a dedicated act clarifying this. We will have about 50 so-called risk management measures where there's clearly stated how all the technical and organizational measures have to be applied in order to be compliant to NIS2. And it's a very broad range of measures. So summarizing, we have three parts. It's the governance part with the strong risk management in order to select or traceable deselect certain security measures, the training part, and the technical organizational measures, as I said before. There is, for a lot of companies, especially in the SME area, there's a question what we should do, what's the concrete plan, which measures should be taken, how do they have to be implemented, because the law, at least in Austria and also in other member states, is not ready at the moment. So here I can only recommend to check existing standards and best practices. There's a lot of information available for years where you can read and try to understand and give a picture of the required risk management actions and security measures. There's the ISO 27001 and ISO 27002 standards. If you buy them, they cost around 400 euros, so it's not a massive investment, where you can read through how to implement a management system, risk management, and essential security measures. When it comes to challenges from small and medium-sized enterprises, sorry, it's not animated, should be animated. There are, I see, at least in Austria, and also when I'm talking with colleagues from other companies, for small and medium-sized enterprises, the most problematic thing is to integrate information security within the entire company. So to build up a so-called information security management system, ISMS, which is a plan, do, check, act cycle from identification of my risks, doing the measures, doing having quality assurance with internal controls, audits, doing appropriate reporting, management reporting, and have this set not once, but that this is a continuous management process, like in a financial management system. So the ISMS and building up a structured information security risk management, which is traceable and auditable. This is the point. Is the biggest challenge for SMEs because they're not used to it until now. Another big topic is the supplier risk thing, also mentioned in the talk before. Problem is if you get a supplier which is already hacked or get hacked, there might be an external and outsourced IT supplier. Also might be outsourced software components. So the whole supplier ecosystem has to be integrated in your risk thoughts. And the management of cybersecurity incidents, unfortunately, and we all read it also in news and newspapers, a lot of companies are not ready and prepared to react appropriate on cybersecurity incidents. Yeah? So like ransomware incidents or others, and really struggling to have to get it back to business because they are not prepared, and also do not have retainers because small medium-sized companies won't build up necessary resources for forensics and cyber response capabilities, but they have to work and have contracts in place with outsourcing partners. On the below side, we have the security measures. Rather, I selected some technical ones. Vulnerability management. So the technical vulnerability management is a basis hygiene measure where a lot of companies are already struggling. So you need a technical vulnerability that an attacker can enter your system, and this you have to be aware of and implement technical measures in order to react on that. Another thing is the security hardening. So your clients, your mobiles, your servers, your websites, all possibilities where attackers can intrude have to be hardened in a secure way. One of the most difficult and most resource intense topics is our alerting capabilities, or SIEM, Security Incident Events Management Systems. This is the requirement to technically identify normal behavior of your employees to an attacker's behavior. So that you get alerts if there's suspicious activity within your network and information systems, which is a tough thing. Application security. everything is software. So you have to be there, especially aware on vulnerabilities and to build secure applications. Little teaser, there's two acts are upcoming, the Cyber Resilience Act and the Product Liability Act, which directly address software products with dedicated security requirements. And the last two training programs are now enforced. And when I have the management of the security incident part, I have also the technical capabilities which needs to be implemented in order to react and recover from incidents and emergencies. There are, as told before, a lot of other measures which have to be implemented and reviewed. But from my perspective, this is my selection of common pitfalls of small, medium enterprises when it comes to build up a strong resilience and be compliant to the NIS2 directive and the national NIS2 law. If you need something, we're happy to support you. Just a little hint. And otherwise, I gave a brief introduction on NIS2 and some, I think, pitfalls which you should address on preparing for October 2024. I could also talk about 3 days about NIS2 and the requirements, but stop at that point. Say thank you, and if you have any questions or comments, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan, for this interesting presentation. So I think we can go on with our next speaker from EDI Trakia.
Hello. I'm smiling because Stefan finished fantastically the presentation, saying that he can speak 3 days about the NIS2. Stefan, I believe this can be a master degree program. Because it's embedding a lot of things inside. So something about the EDIH Trakia. We are located in Bulgaria, in the central south part, in the city of Plovdiv. Our focus is cybersecurity. So we are only cybersecurity and only one cybersecurity digital innovation hub in Bulgaria. And again, we are following the best practices of the program. So we are offering assessment of the existing state with the services. We are offering then trainings and awareness programs for the beginners and for advanced security specialists and the company's teams. Also, we're providing a very interesting solution, which is the Cyber Range. And the Cyber Range is this place where we can verify the concept of the applications and system. Are they strong enough? Yesterday, we were testing a video camera, which failed, unfortunately. It was hacked in 70 seconds. Then we are able to test the expertise of the team, so we can embed this into the training, the Cyber Ranges. This is what we're doing in our university programs where we are presenting. And yes, the Cyber Range is a part of the component in the upcoming Resilience Act laboratories, because you should prove and you should test and validate the level of security of the devices, products, and services from the different directives. So the EDIH Trakia is made for cybersecurity, and we're able to deliver this free of charge European-funded actions and events to the Bulgarian business. But I believe it's fantastic to collaborate each other, because there is not enough people which are experts on cybersecurity, and the people talking in front of me really showed high level of understanding. Moving forward to the next slide, I should talk about the Cybersecurity Act. It's one of the acts which are moving and shaping the cybersecurity landscape of Europe. And I have only 15 minutes and I have 15 slides. So it's going to be really a fast presentation, just doing the highlights. It's very important, and I put this here, to understand that when Europe creates regulations, they're not made only from bureaucrats or people who are not listening the voice of the European business and organization. And this is on the left-hand side, you can see how the act was having his life, and that there was 110 reasons listed why this regulation is necessary. I'm not going to list them, but it's good for you to see, because you're going to recognize your business and your companies and your government in the needs and specifics. And then we have 69 articles, which these articles are combined in a logic where the regulation is shifting the cybersecurity approach, which has become a unified approach for cybersecurity in Europe. And yes, you have one annex. So this is a fantastic document. If you're able to, if you have time to read it by yourself, read it, use a highlighter. Highly recommending this, even on the paper. If you don't have a time to read it, be brave and use the artificial intelligence to get summaries and get more information. This is really works, and I'm advising everybody to combine the human mind and the machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence on the generative side. So getting into the regulation, my goal is to give you an overview. So you should know what is inside. And when you know what is inside, then you can go and find exactly your side of business and what concern you, because definitely there are thousands of pages that you should read. So when I was reading the regulation, it's a lot reminds me to the best practices of doing the international standards, or even more introducing the concept for cyber maturity models. And here we have 5 logical groups. This is how I build them. So for the ones who are already familiar with the ISO implementation concept or with the NIST, it's going to be really, really useful to link with something they know. So we have the foundation principles, and this is defining the guidelines, the base reasons this to exist, and explain why we need to have a strong cybersecurity of Europe. And this was highlighted from the colleagues which were speaking in front of me. And yes, these 2030 threats which were presented in the first presentation, I strongly believe that they're highly possible and that they're well organized as a vision. So we should fight against them. And then when you have an administrative document in the second line, you should get the governance and structure, because the Cybersecurity Act is not only requesting from the entities and governments and to get prepared for this, but it also very well outlines the structure of the bodies which are responsible for this on the European level. And I really like this, because it says we are not only expecting from the people on the end of the line to do their job, but we should prepare the necessary mechanism, organization, and structures. So it's very well written what the NISA is doing, what is the management board, what is the executive directors, and the topic of transparency and integrity of the measures, which I believe is one of the best values of the European Union. If we are interested in what's going on there, that the information is visible, transparent, and communicated. Yes, this brings to delays sometimes, but I believe this is the way how we should work. So moving to the next 2 of the logical groups, this is the operational framework. And this operational frameworks really defines the details, how the legislation should be prepared, what is the framework of the program, and how NISA should operate actively. If you're a NISA member, probably you know it. If you're curious how the European Network Information Security Agency should operate on the act, you can read this. Then there is a very interesting topic, and I believe that this is the thing which excites mostly the companies who are producing or providing, who are producing devices or providing services, or are manufacturing products. this is the certification framework from one side for them, because they should be able to be compliant to certification, because when you have the certification framework, you should show a compliance. And also from the other side, from the professionals, because this is giving a guideline how we should support and verify the entities on doing their job. And there is a thing that all of us, like a professional, we should care about. And this is that the paperwork should be converted to a high quality professional job. Because all of you know that sometimes when you're implementing the ISO or some local version of the NIS1 directive, the quality of the auditing and verification against the compliance was not on the high level. So dear colleagues, the professionals who are doing the certifications or helping the companies to become compliant, we really need to focus on the quality of the services that we are going to provide. And for this, the guidelines which are produced from NISA, you're going to see later, they can be useful, and we should make them practical. So the last 5 is implementation and compliance. Usually the people, when you're doing the presentation, are hearing 2 things. The first, there is a regulation from the EU. You should do something, which I say, oh, again, something else. But when you talk about the penalties, then everybody's paying attention. So I didn't put the values here because I don't want to frighten the audience. But the truth is that we should understand that this is something that will happen in Europe. If you're not changing the landscape, if you don't decrease the landscape of attacks, if you're not giving secure devices and products to our customers, or we are not good on certifying and providing the compliance and supporting the industries, then we're going to be in a digital risk, which can be a threat to organizations and societies. It was clear from the previous speakers why. So with every regulation, there is a regulatory effect, there is a compliance. If there is no compliance for a specific organization, which they're demanded to be, there are going to be penalties. And what is also very important in implementation and compliance stage is that currently you're going to see it, we're moving from country recognized standards and procedures to a European standards and procedures, which means that we should very carefully lead the business from local to European level of cybersecurity understanding. Moving to the next slide, this is a live picture from, when I say live, I mean it was taken from one of our events that we are doing in Bulgaria, in the hub office in Plovdiv. So people can do alone, but it's really better when you're sitting and when you're working together. And when you mix the people from different groups and experiences, and they need to find how to prepare for the regulations or to discover what gaps are challenging their business, this is the best way. Small groups of 5 people working together, up to 20 people. So we're doing these workshops for the public administration, for the business, and also we are working with the students because they're the next generation cybersecurity experts. This is our leading trainer, Petr Kanchev. So this is what we are doing. We are working the people because cybersecurity was a mystery, and we need to make it as a practical idea which should be understood from the others. Okay, moving in details on which you need to focus. On the left side is the chapter that I was thinking it's important to you, including the articles which you should find, and I'm going to explain you right. On the right side, I'm really love the generative feature of the artificial intelligence, and you know, ENISA is located in Greece, so it was kind of naturally to create this kind of representation of the foundation and the principles. But in foundation and the principles, please read carefully the subject matter and scope and the definition. because you understand what's the purpose and what we are covering. And then on the article to the definitions, this is like the vocabulary into the ISO 27001. You can understand when somebody's talking to you what he means. So we need to have a common language. Then the article 5 is the general principles. I put it on the right-hand side on the bottom, that articles 3, 4, and 6 are considering ENISA, because I didn't miss them, but they're not for you. So from this slide, this is what is important. Take the matter on these 3 articles. Then we are moving to the group of the section 4. You remember the grouping at the beginning, so we skip some tasks which are related to ENISA in the second and the third logical group. So look and focus on 46 and 47 of the articles which are focusing on the European certification framework, and then read a lot on the certification procedures and bodies. So you should understand who is doing the certification on the local level, how they should be established, what is the cross-country collaboration, what's the integration with the central logic of the Cybersecurity Act, what are the notification procedures. So from 48 to 61 article, you can understand about how the certification procedures and body are fixed. Yes, you see some articles are missing. I suppose that you have this sharp eye, but you're not missing them. They're here. We are just regrouping them, and this is one of my main ideas here, is to group them logically. So if you want to see a specific part which is interesting you, just go for these articles in the beginning. Then you're going to be interested in understand the context. So the national and European coordinations, this is the national certification schemas and the national cybersecurity authorities, and also the peering review, what is happening. You can find them between 57 and 59, and the advisory and compliance mechanism between the 62 and 64 article. Very nice structured document. And I really like the 63. So if you're not 63, if you're not happy, you can also say, I'm not very happy and I want to complain because you're doing over-regulation or you made a mistake here. So keep your European citizen voice high. Then it's important to understand the point 5, Article 65. If you want, go and read it. Probably most of you write Article 65 in their notes, so get in details. I'm running fast on the time, and the next slide is excuse. I didn't like the slides like the next, but I'm putting this so you're going to be able to get the PowerPoint presentation after that, and you can read really and go in details. So aspect under the certification, this is important. This is details. So what is under the certification? It's a product, services, and process. It describes what is the product, what is the service, what is the process, and you see that we're going and looking for a really integrated cybersecurity compliance framework, which is going to provide secure Europe in the future. So this is the first aspect. Then the second aspect is the certification schema and assurance levels. So you have the European cybersecurity schema, and then we're having a different levels, which is basic, substantial, and high. It's really depending on the type of device. I have more 4 aspects, but I don't have time to talk about them. So when you get the slide, you're going to see them in the comment. And then moving to the next slide, it's a very, very small recap about what is it. The first thing, local schema will be replaced from a single one, which is the European Union Common Criteria. So from locally, we're going to European level of standardization. There is a fantastic website, which I really love, which is certification europe.eu/index in this for the English. And if you're a producer of the devices local in Europe or somebody abroad, you should understand that you have a single market of 50 million people which are living in this market and they're consumers. So from the producer point of view, you don't need to comply with the hundreds of schemas in different countries, you need to get to compliant to a single one, and you're getting to the market. So this is a fantastic opportunity also to start talking with the nearshore countries who are producing device and bringing it to the market, or also from the abroad. And yeah, you're going to see there is not enough laboratories, so get in touch with us into the EDIH Trakia with our cyber resilient range and the laboratories for assessment. And if you're a consumer, because I'm consumer, most everybody's consumer, we will be able not only to choose the product by price or by producer or by brand, but we are also going to be able to compare the cybersecurity let's say, level of the product. And this is important because you're using the vacuum cleaners, you're using the smart TVs, you are using the watering systems, and you don't know what's inside. So this is the future. We are going there, and some existing schemas which are applicable, you can find them on the website that I showed you earlier, the European Cybersecurity Certification Schema on the common criteria. It is out from October and finished in the 31st of January this year. European Certification Schema for the cloud services. It was published December 2020, on December 22, 2020, and the 5G was published on January 2024. With the Implementation Act. So there are things that you can start to do. If you ask me, go and read the first two mandatory. If you're a 5G operator, definitely the number 3 is important for you. And my message is contact us on time. And when I say us, it's not only the edichtrakia.org that we can provide you the finance for and support for the Bulgarian business, but also contact all of the hubs locally or together, because you see different people topping on an integrated security framework, from the threats to the directive, going on the regulation, looking forward. This is my email, which is Yasen at edichtrakia.org. And yes, we are still using the Cyrillic letter. We are located at Plovdiv, 4000 Belgrade, number 6 on the first floor. Thanks for listening, and I'm happy that I also get in 15 minutes time. Yes, this is a story for a week, but we should start from somewhere. Thank you very much. So Jadranka, the next, how is the program?
Yeah, if somebody have a question, please send us, because we are out of the time. But I would like to thank you all, guys, all presenters. And I think we offer the first step of the cybersecurity information. So please contact us. You have our emails and information on the website, and we are looking forward to work with you. Thank you all. Bye.
Hallo Stefan.